Hello, Mr. Kaczynski here with you. We're going to find missing angles in quadrilaterals again, part of Section O of IXL's 8th grade math. The thing we got to know about quadrilaterals is the sum of all their angles is always 360 degrees, but we actually start off dealing with a specific type of quadrilateral, and that is a parallelogram. So we're given that one angle is 30 degrees. What are the measures of the other three angles in the parallelogram? Well, let's take a quick look at parallelograms here. Okay, here's a parallelogram. Here's a parallelogram. And the thing we'll notice about this is that the opposite angles are always congruent to each other. So opposite angles will always be congruent. So if that's the case, and we have one 30-degree angle, we know there's going to be another 30-degree angle. Okay. The other thing we need to know is that the adjacent angles will always be 180. So that means that the other two have to be, well, 30 plus what is 180, and that's 150. Okay, so the other two angles are going to be 150 degrees. So 30, 150, 150, and of course the other 30. And those would all add up to 360 degrees. So let's do that again just to kind of make my point. One angle of a parallelogram measures 140. What are the other three angles? Well, we know that the opposite angle to that 140 is going to be 140. And I also know that the adjacent angles, or the ones on the same side of the parallelogram, are going to add up to 180. So 140 plus 40 is 180. And then we would need another 40-degree angle. So 140, 40, and 40. All right, then we get into some of these here. Two angles of a quadrilateral measure 110 and 120. The other two angles are in a ratio of 2 to 11. What are the measures of those two angles? Okay, so 110 and 120, there's two of our angles. The other ones are in a ratio of 2 to 11. So in my equation that I'm writing here, I'm going to do 2x and 11x. And I know that the sum of all four of these angles will be 360 because the interior measure, the sum of the interior angles of any quadrilateral will always be 360. Okay, so 110 and 120, that makes 230. 2x and 11x, that makes 13x. Let's subtract 230 from both sides. We'll get 13x equals 130. Divide both sides by 13, and we see that x equals 10. All right, so we're trying to find these missing angles. One of them would be 2 times x, all right, which in this case is going to be 2 times 10. So one of our missing angles is 20 degrees. All right, our other missing angle is 11 times x. And we now know that x is 10, so we'll do 11 times 10, which is 110 degrees. So our two missing angles are 20 degrees and 110 degrees. And that would be 130 plus the 120 plus the 10. That would all add up to 360 degrees. Let's do that one more time. Two angles of a quadrilateral measure 105 and 140. Okay, so there's two of our four angles, 105 and 140. The other two angles are in a ratio of 3 to 20. And we're going to figure out those two angles. All right, so I'm going to put in my equation 3x and 20x. And these four angles will always add up to 360 degrees in a quadrilateral. Okay, 105 and 140, that's 245. 3x and 20x, that's 23x. Let's subtract 245 from both sides. So 360 minus 245 is 115. And then we'll divide both sides by 23. And we get 5. So x is 5. So what are our other two angles? Well, one's going to be 3 times 5. 3 times x, which is 15 degrees. And the other angle is going to be 20 times 5, 20 times x, which is 100 degrees. So our two missing angles here are 15 degrees and 100 degrees. Those are in a ratio of 3 to 20. All right, finding missing angles in quadrilaterals, section 2, part 2. Good luck. Let me know how it goes in the comments.